Icons break the clutter. They take risks, they choose their own paths, and they change the game. As we celebrate World Music Day all this week and month, this is Rolling Stone India Icons in association with JBL and Beatoven.ai, where India's most inspiring musicians give us a glimpse into their artistry and genius. This is your exclusive gateway into the greatest creative minds. My name is Nirmika Singh, and I'm absolutely thrilled, delighted, honored, privileged to have amongst us the most phenomenal, defiant, fearless, and unstoppable Raja Kumari.
Oh my God, what an intro. Thank you.
Raja, we're so happy you're here. I am in awe of you.
So
like
sweet.
Millions of people in India, and it's been such a crazy, intense year for you. There's a new EP. There's Godmother Records, slamming show at NH7
That was a
Weekender.
crazy show.
Man, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling great. You're talking about recent things, but you know what I'm thinking about sitting here looking at you? That when I first landed in India in 2016, Rolling Stone gave me my first pictures in print. And they said, the rapper we've all been waiting for. And it's funny because before that, I'd never called myself a rapper. And then I was like, well, Rolling Stone says I'm a rapper. I'm a rapper. Like, I make rap music, but I thought I was singing. Like, a lot of people always say to me, I can't believe you learned to sing. And I'm like, do you guys not know what I've been doing? But, you know, you guys have always been there. So, like, I always think, like, seeing my name in print, it was the first time. And, we did the cover together in 2020.
Oh, yes.
Which was momentous, but also crazy time period in life. And to be sitting with you now, I'm like, okay, we survived.
Oh, we survived and we conquered everything possible.
Yeah.
And I think that it's one thing to have the dream and the execution of it, which requires so much dedication and effort and devotion, is just completely crazy. And you mentioned about living these two lives. I'm very curious to know, Raja, about the artistic responsibility you feel as somebody who is an Indian artist, but also part of this diaspora. So there are these multiple things that you're playing to, audiences and ideas and the dichotomy of it.
I think I decided today that I was going to be like super honest about things and talk about things, even the things that bother me. And I think for some time, like most people that know me, when I came to India in 2016, I was signed to Epic Records, which was already an insane feat. Like, to get a record deal in America is insane. And they weren't quite understanding my music. I was told things like Indian girls don't rap and who cares about India? And I was literally like, there's 1 billion people. This is a game of numbers. How do you not want to be ahead? And when I left and I came to India, I felt rejected a lot, from the US. I felt like there wasn't a space for my art. Like, it wasn't what it is now. There weren't Muslim superheroes, and there weren't TV shows produced by Mindy Kaling, and Hassan Minhaj didn't have his own show, and Aziz Ansari wasn't famous, and Priyanka hadn't moved to LA. Like, it was very lonesome.
And Raja, I also feel that the sense of caprice and unpredictability in the showcase that you present every single time you're on stage, that's something, You'd see the throne, you'd see the flowers, you'll see these long capes, you'll see these fabulous colors. Like, this person is just upping the game every time she's presenting a new version of herself. And it shows and people appreciate it, which is why I think I'm so invested in your career. I'm sure millions of us are invested in your career. We see somebody who's scaling her dreams every time she is, scaling a new project. How does that process? I don't know, for you, it's the process. It's not really those things. It's not like a bucket list that you're striking things out of.
I just had a vision when I was a child. I was about 12 years old. I tell this story because I think it's like the beginning of me becoming Raja Kumari, the Sveta Rao to Raja Kumari change. I had this vision. I was sitting in my bedroom and I called a memory of the future because time is not linear, it's cyclical. We'll get into it at a different time, okay? But basically we're looping, and those deja vu moments are like moments that feel very viscerally real.
Right.
I call it a memory of the future. And basically all of a sudden I was on stage and I was looking out of my own eyes, but I could tell that I was stronger, more powerful. Wow. I was older. And there was a sea of like 100,000 people. And I had seen crowds at that time as a dancer. Like I had done like 30, 40,000 for some like festivals and stuff in India, but this was bigger than I had ever seen. And I felt the physical wave of energy and I could almost see it. I think I saw it and it like went through me. And then when I came back into my room, I was all of a sudden back into my little adolescent body that was not happy with the way she looked and wanted to be blonde with blue eyes and didn't know how to express Americanness and Indianness. But the first thing that came out of my mouth was, how do I get there?
Wow.
And I feel like from that moment, I have been plotting and actually just listening.
And I kind of resonate with the vision of that 6-year-old. I remember when I was 6, 7, and my mom, when she'd be away at work, I'd be sitting in my balcony. Actually, I feel so stupid that I'm saying this. I'd be speaking to an imaginary audience, and I'd be explaining my craft to them. And that makes so much sense now because I do that all the time. I'm explaining to people why one doesn't need to be singularly faceted. I can be a poet. I can be this. I can be a songwriter. I can do whatever the hell I want to do.
It's almost like your higher self was talking to you to convince yourself. It's crazy. And
it's crazy,
and
right?
Manifestation, I'm glad that you're talking about it, that I'm talking about it, because it's like a power that everybody has in them. And they literally can change their entire surrounding, like switch your perspective, switch your frequency. And I think I talk about it a lot because I'm going through it with everyone.
Sure. Mute to me like continues to be this soundtrack to these certain moments where I feel that I just need an anthem to pump me up. But as much as the lyrics, have their own sort of meaning and connotations, I also know that you've been able to mute the world beautifully, right? Tell me about the boys in hip-hop, Raja.
What about the boys in hip-hop? No, I mean, this is the thing. I have been here for 5 years and I feel that I've really supported the industry. Like I have been to events, I've been behind the scenes on a lot of things. Like when I had an opportunity, I did Ronnie Cypher. I tried to really like make platforms for people. But I have a bone to pick with the industry. I just feel like within the hip-hop community that like they'll review every song but mine. Like it'll be like Siddhu Moosewala's album, and it'll be like track 1, track 2 reviews, skip track 4, track 5 review.
Are you serious?
Yeah, and
have you seen that? Like, is that a pattern?
It's a pattern.
I can't believe it.
It hurts my feelings because I feel like when I go on Apple Music, I make a playlist and I put everyone on it.
Of course.
I put Delhi rappers, I put South rappers. Like, I always do my best to like really try to bring light to the great artists here. And I think that sometimes when I do things on a high level, it's threatening to people because then they have to say like, oh, she's American. That's why she can do that.
Right.
So it's easier to dismiss me other than evolving.
Along comes, the aspect of technology and how that shapes you and how it allows you as a hip-hop artist to keep sort of upping the game. How are you able to embrace it? We talk about culture and your roots a lot. I want to know the nerd that Shweta is, the nerd that's in the studio.
I realized that there's so much power in the platform. Right. And I always, when I said, oh, I want to become a pop star, it was like to have the platform. But if you look around today, like the industry has changed so much. So like if you view the situation, the more you build your own platform, the more control you have over your message. So like with this release, I really took advantage of that. I was like, people don't even buy CDs anymore. Let me give them a whole experience and how they're supposed to see and listen to this song. But I think I'm sure there's a lot that can be done. I think people fall into this hole of comparing themselves. And listen, the algorithm is always coming for you. Like I'll be like, one day I'll have 100,000 people watching the story and one day I'll have 12 and I'll be like, what did I say? I got shadow banned, like we go through things. We go through things. So I would say like, obviously that the platform is power. Invest in yourself so that you can have control over your music. And, I think getting signed to a label is always going to be a goal for all musicians that like really want to have their music out there. But I would caution to look into other ways of releasing your music because there are other there's the Orchard, there's I don't know if I'm supposed to name things, but like there are other distribution ways that like TuneCore, there's ways that you can release your music. And people like BBC Asian and people like Rolling Stone is always featuring new artists, and it's like, don't wait for a cosign.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Don't wait for a cosign.
I really think that since we talk about artistry, we're talking about fearlessness. I want you to tell everyone who's watching us right now what it takes today in this time and age and in India to be a fearless artist, and what can we do to be fearless people.
Unshaking self-belief, like unshakable self-belief and audacity to dream. That's it. Oh, they got this many views or whatever. Just focus on yourself. Everybody gets their chance. If you're persistent, you will get your chance, but there's no time limit on it. So really, if you really truly want to dedicate your life to art, and that's what it really takes, then your time will come.
Your time will come. And this is your time, Raja. Thank you so much for joining us on Rolling Stone India Icons. This has been phenomenal. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing the infectious grit, passion, and devotion that you have for your craft. This is Rolling Stone India Icons in association with JBL and Beatoven.ai. And with me is the unstoppable Hindustan ki Rani, Raja Kumari.